Hello everyone. Today, I am going to explain a movie from 2012. In the opening scene, we are introduced to Sudeep, a wealthy and powerful industrialist. He is engaged in shooting practice at a training center, displaying impeccable marksmanship that garners admiration from those present. Amid the training session, his associate and close friend Aditya approaches him. Even though they are required to attend an important business meeting soon, Sudeep seems oblivious to this fact. Aditya urges Sudeep to adopt a more responsible attitude, given the demanding nature of their client, but Sudeep dismisses the advice. Instead, he approaches a young lady on the opposite side of the field and sensually guides her in firing a shot. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a young small artist named Bindu creates a small heart-shaped artwork. Despite her efforts, she remains dissatisfied with the outcome. When a power outage occurs, she relocates her workspace closer to a window, utilizing moonlight to complete the miniature sculpture. Nani, Bindu's neighboring friend who has been nursing feelings for her for the past 2 years, observes her struggles due to the lack of light. Determined to assist her, Nani improvises a makeshift light source using a flashlight and aluminum foil. This intervention enables Bindu to successfully finish her sculpture, and she expresses her gratitude by completing her work. However, once she completes the sculpture, she merely closes her window and goes to sleep without acknowledging Nani's help. Nani's friend criticizes Bindu for her apparent rudeness in not thanking him. Despite this, Nani, deeply smitten with Bindu, defends her actions by claiming that she closed the window to spare him from waiting for her all night. The next day, Sudeep hosts an exclusive party to celebrate his company's 3rd anniversary. One of his clients, who has recently been causing him difficulties, surprises Aditya by presenting him with a file as a gift. Aditya is puzzled by how the client suddenly agreed to sign the papers, but his confusion turns into astonishment when he realizes that the client's wife is the same woman whom Sudeep had seduced during the firearm training session. Sudeep has effectively sealed a deal with this client by using his connection with the wife. Following this triumph, the business partners head to a bar to celebrate their success with a drink. During their conversation, it's revealed that Sudeep's wealth comes from his deceased wife, whom he had killed a few years ago. He subsequently took control of her company and has been operating it as his own. Apart from her role as a miniature artist, Bindu is also involved in running an NGO called Project 551, which advocates for children's education. She's at the Project 551 office, making preparations to purchase books for underprivileged children. Unfortunately, the organization is facing financial constraints. Someone suggests that Bindu arrange a meeting with Sudeep because his company is seeking to support a non-profit organization. When she visits his office and explains the charitable initiatives of her organization, Sudeep becomes instantly captivated by her physical appearance, distracting him from her cause. At the end of the meeting, Sudeep hands Bindu a surprisingly large check of 15 lakh rupees, catching Bindu off guard. Gratefully, she thanks him, unaware of his ulterior motives. A few days later, they distribute books and stationery to underprivileged students in their locality. Following the event, Sudeep invites Bindu to a lavish restaurant for lunch. As they prepare to order, Bindu receives a text from Nani, complimenting her appearance. She glances around and spots Nani watching her from another part of the restaurant. Enthralled by Nani's gaze, Bindu completely ignores Sudeep, which wounds his pride. After the meal, Sudeep offers to drive her home, but she interrupts him midway, mentioning that she needs to go grocery shopping. Once she walks away, Sudeep trails after her and discovers that she's in the company of Nani. Consumed by a mixture of anger and jealousy, Sudeep is incensed by this unprecedented disregard he's experiencing. Determined, he sets his sights on a mission. On a particular evening, Bindu loses track of time while working late. Fearing the prospect of walking home alone, she sends Nani an empty text message, knowing he'll interpret it as a call for help and rush to her side. True to her anticipation, Nani responds promptly and comes to her aid. The two of them walk back home in silence. However, as Bindu reaches her destination and enters her house, a white van passes by. The occupants of the van kidnap Nani, subjecting him to a severe beating. These assailants are henchmen hired by Sudeep to eliminate Nani from Bindu's life. In due course, Sudeep himself arrives at the scene and continues the assault, repeatedly striking Nani. Upon learning that Sudeep is punishing him for being associated with Bindu, Nani defiantly asserts that anyone seeking harm for Bindu will meet their end at his hands. This declaration only fuels Sudeep's fury, leading him to ultimately kill Nani. Following these tragic events, Bindu calls Nani to confess her love, but her revelation comes too late. In the aftermath, Nani's body emits an eerie blue glow, which transfers from him to a nearby fly egg. By morning, Nani's lifeless body is discovered in the middle of the road, and corrupt policemen hastily label it an accidental case. Around 10 days later, the egg affected by the strange light hatches, giving rise to a baby fly. Unbeknownst to all, this fly is actually Nani, reborn in animal form with a mission of vengeance against his murderer. Initially devoid of memory from his previous life, Nani, now a fly, struggles to take flight due to his wings being stuck to his body. He barely escapes being washed away by water, eventually managing to free his wings and ascend into the air. In his new existence, Nani, as a fly, explores the world with fresh wonder, captivated by floating bubbles and the sight of children at play. He engages in playful interactions, gleefully popping the bubbles as they drift by. After an incident involving a cricket ball and a half-eaten apple, he finds himself pursued by a bird, eventually seeking refuge inside a house. Nani meets an unexpected and unfortunate end, as a human inadvertently drowns him in a mug of water. As the fly's life slips away, he realizes that the person holding the glass is Sudeep. Upon seeing his face, the fly suddenly recollects his past life, triggering a surge of anger. Bursting out of the liquid, he assaults his murderer, only to realize that he is no longer human and lacks the strength to inflict much harm. A swat from Sudeep sends the fly plummeting to the ground. The fly's memory then rushes back to Bindu, and he races to her home, a whirlwind of emotions coursing through him. Despite his efforts, his minuscule size prevents Bindu from acknowledging him. She converses with her sister-in-law about Nani's absence, confessing her deep longing for him. This fuels the fly's determination to capture her attention. Later in the day, Bindu finds herself in her office, where Sudeep arrives to meet her. He offers condolences for Nani's demise and attempts to draw closer to Bindu. The fly infiltrates Sudeep's ear, desperately striving to safeguard Bindu even in his current form. In a subsequent scene, Sudeep enters a wooden steam bath, his limbs bound. The fly seizes the opportunity and infiltrates Sudeep's ear, manipulating his movements. The box containing Sudeep also shifts, almost causing him to collide with a sharp shower handle. In his frantic attempt to eradicate the fly, Sudeep rushes out of the bath, stark naked, unwittingly making a spectacle of himself before business partners and clients. Later in the office, Sudeep invites Bindu to join him in Delhi for their organization's welfare. They decide to depart the following day. In a bid to thwart their plans, the fly torments Sudeep throughout the night, ensuring he gets no rest. Despite his efforts to cocoon himself with a bedsheet, Sudeep's slumber remains fleeting. After a brief nap, Bindu contacts Sudeep, informing him of their imminent flight departure in half an hour. As he rushes to the airport, the fly accompanies him, initially causing disruptions by interfering with the traffic police. The fly's actions lead to a traffic jam. When Sudeep changes vehicles, the fly targets his eye, resulting in an accident. Stranded in his car seat, Sudeep uses dust to write, "I will kill you," on the window. After being rescued, Sudeep lives in constant fear of the fly's retaliation, carrying fly spray at all times. People around him consider him unhinged, but he remains steadfast. Bindu arrives to meet Sudeep, triggering the fly's anger. When he attempts another attack, Bindu sprays him with fly repellent, causing the fly to fall onto a bush. Near death, the fly is saved by a water sprinkler that washes off the toxins. Sudeep consults an entomologist to inquire about flies seeking revenge. The doctor suggests rest, believing Sudeep's thoughts are delusional. Undeterred, Sudeep continues to ignore everyone's advice and ventures to the dump where his wrecked car was taken. In the aftermath, Sudeep encounters a peculiar individual who forewarns him of impending misfortune, the burning of his wealth. Despite the man's warning, Sudeep remains dismissive and investigates the wreckage, discovering a fragmented glass shard inscribed with the word "kill." This confirms to him that the fly's intentions were indeed murderous. On the following day, Nani, now a fly, observes Bindu grieving and, using teardrops on a table, communicates a message to her. Bindu is astonished upon reading it. Cradling the fly in her palm, she questions if he is truly Nani, and he responds affirmatively, indicating his rebirth. Nani conveys to Bindu that Sudeep killed him to draw closer to her. Stunned, Bindu believes the fly's message and vows to help him avenge his death. Her skills as a miniature artist come into play as she crafts tiny protective glasses for the fly, shielding him from fly repellents. Sudeep launches an effort to locate and eliminate the fly, employing his bodyguards, but their efforts prove fruitless. He also realizes that conventional repellents have no effect on his newfound adversary. Despite several attempts, ranging from fly baits to swatters, Sudeep's attempts to exterminate the fly remain futile. Nani takes drastic measures, such as setting his bed ablaze and forcing Sudeep to ingest fly bait, to no avail. Eventually, Nani plots an extraordinary plan involving a functioning cannon, gunpowder, and timing to kill Sudeep. However, the plan goes awry due to a man placing tissue paper in the cannon's muzzle. Sudeep responds by fortifying his house with insect-proof measures, requiring Bindu to personally admit Nani. During an encounter, Sudeep makes inappropriate advances toward Bindu, prompting the fly to dig into his skin using specialized claws. In a critical investor meeting, Sudeep's fatigue and irrational fear of flies cause his presentation to devolve into nonsensical rambling. Nani's interference further worsens the situation, leading to the investor's refusal to fund the project, plunging Sudeep's company into debt. The situation worsens when income tax officials are alerted to Sudeep's concealed black money. While attempting to relocate his funds, the fly's presence results in the money's incineration, leaving Sudeep nearly destitute. Recalling the man he encountered earlier, with Tantra's help, Sudeep discovers that the fly is Nani reincarnated for vengeance. They perform a ritual and summon two malevolent birds to capture Nani, but he manages to kill them. As chaos unfolds, the house locks down, filling with smoke. Sudeep and Tantra become trapped but are eventually saved by Aditya. Surveillance footage reveals that Bindu allowed the fly inside. Armed with this knowledge, Sudeep captures Bindu, leveraging her to lure Nani out. Nani reluctantly emerges to save Bindu. In their ensuing confrontation, Nani attempts to harm Sudeep, but Sudeep traps him using a magnet. As Sudeep holds Bindu hostage, Nani realizes that the paper blocking the cannon has fallen out, rendering it functional again. With his last ounce of strength, Nani covers himself in gunpowder and leaps into the cannon, passing through a burning match's flame. The ensuing projectile pierces Sudeep, finally killing him. However, the projectile also strikes an oxygen cylinder, sparking a massive explosion that engulfs the entire house in flames. In the closing scene, Bindu drives to work, encountering a man who catcalls her. Nani, now reborn as a fly again, retaliates by attacking the man with a needle, heralding his triumphant return. Movie ends here. Click subscribe button for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.